India stack and the self-sovereign identity.
Let's have a quick round of introductions. Professor Shukla, we already know. Let's begin with Akhilesh ji.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Akhilesh Srivastava. I am currently working as IT advisor with Government of Uttarakhand. Apart from this, I am also associated with World Economic Forum and leading their program Road Safety 2.0 in India. In addition to this, I am part of ITS committee of Niti Aayog. I am associated with various IITs and IIMs as a board of governors or member. Basically, that's all other thing. I'm more interested in the latest technologies to come and meet you guys, understand what's new is happening, and what best we can do for the benefit of citizens, how the technology can be used for the betterment or uplifting the society in general in India. That's
Swapnil.
Thanks everyone for having us over here. I'm Swapnil Pawar, founder of Newrl, layer 1 blockchain for mainstream use cases of property, stocks and stuff like that. The why, as they say in typical Web3 introductions, why for me has been being able to answer the question, can a non-crypto person use blockchain, a public blockchain, for getting a loan at a better rates or better collateral and so on, improve financial inclusion and stuff like that, using the amazing technology that blockchain is. And that's been my why. I spent about 18 years in financial services, primarily in India, mostly in asset management, a little bit in credit. And before that, I'm a graduate from IIT Bombay, and then I'm Ahmedabad, 2002 and 4.
That's great. Ishan.
Hi, I'm Ishan. I lead the blockchain initiatives of the Tamil Nadu government as head blockchain Tamil Nadu e-governance agency. There are two major initiatives that we have. One is that we are building Nambike Nayam, which is meant to be a blockchain as a service platform for the government departments and agencies of Tamil Nadu. And we also have a policy framework called the Tamil Nadu Blockchain Policy, which talks about building a blockchain ecosystem in the state. Outside of government, I've also worked in various fields in blockchain. So for example, I started with ICICI Bank, where I worked in payments and in microfinance solutions in blockchain. I've built cryptocurrency exchanges, Bitcoin payment gateways, small metaverses, etc. Yeah, that's my introduction. Thanks.
So with these esteemed panelists, we begin our discussion of today, which is on India stack and blockchain. India stack is the stack of Aadhaar for identity, UPI for payments, DigiLocker for storage, which we have by the government of India, powering literally the layers of protocols for citizens for digitization, and how that connects with blockchain and how blockchains can properly become a layer as part of the India stack and help each other in adoption and making more digitization of governance processes in India is what we'll be discussing. As in Bitcoin blockchain also, as Dr. Craig Red also says, we don't have an identity protocol as part of the blockchain. Identity is outsourced. You can connect any identity system you want to it. It's firewalled from the blockchain. So the blockchain itself is pseudonymous, and you get to connect whatever identity system you want, whatever level privacy you want, you can do that. So India, interestingly, provides us their own identity system, which is the Aadhaar-based system. We have different projects everyone's working on here related to SSI, self-sovereign identity. There are multiple identity solutions in the market that we can discuss. Along with what the blockchain needs is like, the internet stack is there. So the blockchain is a protocol layer. So there are multiple layers that needs to be built on top of it. And that does require the government to standardize the transaction structures for how the protocol should function, which the Indian government is very proactive with in any way. So what are your thoughts? I'll go one by one with respect to your projects of how India stack can work with the blockchain. And I know, Shukla ji, you have worked with on a self-sovereign identity project that you can begin.
India stack is based on Aadhaar and, as you said, DigiLocker and UPI, this kind of systems. You can also think of other apps, for example, Arogya Setu and few other apps also in that India stack, if you like. Our experience is that India stack is a little bit parochial. So they are not very welcoming to blockchain technology. So I think it would be a long time before you can actually convince them to actually integrate blockchain technology into their identity system or through the to the DigiLocker, for example. We have had lots of discussions with them, and the what I heard is basically, if it ain't broke, why fix it, right? And it's actually working. So there is not a whole lot of appetite for bringing in a new technology and integrate it and create I guess their fear is that it might create a lot of exposure to various kinds of attack vectors and so on. It requires a lot of work to actually convince them otherwise. It depends on who is currently in charge. So that is another issue that one has to tackle with. Suppose you convince somebody and then they get transferred, then you have to start from the beginning. So these kind of issues are there. Having said that, they have APIs. And those APIs can actually, so you as an individual private player could actually get access to those APIs. The access to those APIs are a little bit guarded, but I think you can obtain them through various kind of paperwork and so on. And through that, you can actually do a lot of stuff, and that's what we plan to do at this moment. And I think that is the best way to integrate. You probably won't make a dent if you want to actually get mixed into their technology stack, but through API exposure, you can probably do a lot of stuff.
100%. That's a very practical reality, and obviously much easier. And the way people are going is to use the India stack rather than tell the government to use the blockchain.
Right.
And coming to you, Swapnil, you have made a self-sovereign identity project as well, which is very interesting, as you were telling me. Tell us about it.
So, like Professor Shukla said, the question is, if it ain't broke, why fix it, right? But my counter question then is, why wait for it to break? Like what happened with Equifax in the US, right?
No, this is not my. I'm not saying if you didn't break, don't fix it. I'm saying
I'm
that's
kidding.
He's telling the ground reality.
The accepted wisdom, if you will. No, so it's exactly that. Equifax happened in the US, and a lot of people suddenly realized that their data was out there for purchase, identity fraud, so on and so forth. Our project in particular our identity project has two parts to it. First part is non-custodial ownership. In some sense, no one place should own my documents. If I'm KYCing myself, that doesn't mean that there is one place which can be hacked and my documents become available to anyone to abuse or use. So an architecture where I'm honest and that can be verified. At the same time, nobody has to actually control the documents to say you're verified. So what we're working on is where documents stay local, but their hashes are then posted on blockchain. And people can send requests to see these documents, which the user can accept or reject. Now, if she rejects it, the business can choose not to work with the person or can still go ahead. And if she accepts it, then the business can actually view it, but only view it. So we're trying to bridge the gap between anonymity and privacy and say anonymity is not equal to privacy.
100%.
Which means you can actually be keeping your data private, and at the same time, you don't need to be anonymous and invoking fears in the hearts of government, rightly so, that the counterparty could be anyone. So, sort of walking that tightrope, if you will.
That is exactly what we say in this space as well, that identity is a must and anonymity is not, but privacy is, you can have privacy with identity, and anonymity is not good for anyone.
Public, data should be in a private platform. that should be that. And but the verification has to be public, so that it can be verified, because a lot of public distribution schemes are there, which has to be delivered to the particular person, and that verification as of now, which takes through APIs or through Aadhaar and other things, it takes longer time. But nevertheless, not things are as bad. Things are very fast. For example, a program which I implemented when I was in my previous organization, FASTag. It's wonderful. It collects almost 97% toll is through this almost seamless movement at the toll plaza. In Uttarakhand, another very recently I implemented e-governance model, which is Apuni Sarkar, they call it in their local language. This is again almost 1.1 crore people of Uttarakhand. 60% are now accessing this through various modes, mobile, or even we have given a facility now, like a Swiggy, they can order a person who goes with a laptop on his bag and reaches to the remotest village and fills the form for them, takes it off. But when we try to migrate to the Web3 or the blockchain application, the issue comes in the government mind. I mean, to be very honest with the audience sitting here, all are with the blockchain. Some stigma in the past which related with the crypto and all, that box the government mind. They take it with a cautious approach, what should be, because I was trying to do it. And in fact, we are doing a pilot in the medical health services, one of the pilot on the blockchain only. Second pilot which I am planning is I am creating a data mesh, data layer for the entire governance of Uttarakhand in my digital Uttarakhand Vision 2025. So this data mesh, the data lake will be created by maybe in 6 months. Now here onwards, I want that things should be moving towards the blockchain platform. And yesterday I was talking to somebody on the road safety, where we can connect roughly, we have in country 35 million drivers, almost equal number of vehicles. The data are different silos. Something is in Vahan database, another is in Sarthi, which is the drivers database. Then we have insurance companies, the regulators, a lot of data. The road safety is pathetic condition in India. At every 4 minutes, a person dies on Indian road. So if somehow we can create a top layer over all these silos using a blockchain laser, communicate with the people, settle their insurance claim quickly, track the drivers, we give some scores to them, and on the real-time basis we can see so many. So here I think blockchain can be one of the best solution, but it has to be scalable. Those model has to be thought for. So the government is very keen. They are in fact trying to do it. Land and other properties already. Prof. Shukla was talking in the morning. We are also implementing, but the approach is a little cautious. So here some pilots by you guys can be a good way to go forward. If you do some pilots, demonstrate, yeah, these are the value adds can be there. So I'm sure the government is very receptive to take it forward.
That's so nice to hear, and great proactive government is looking into blockchain technology quite a lot. They are hesitant with the financial aspect of it, but want to use the blockchain as a data ledger, which is the actual use of the technology to remove the data silos, interconnect all the data, and provide like efficiency in the government services. People are really denote India as the problem in India is the government services are slow and problematic, corruption. Imagine a ledger, you have all of it connected and data integrity and everything. We might beat everyone in it in a few years if we just adopt blockchain technology quicker. And as you said, the initiative is there and we are moving towards that. And you, Ishan, you have also worked on e-governance solutions. So tell us about that, about how blockchain is getting used in.
Sure. So I'll talk a little bit about the project and then I'll just add to what Shukla sir, very valid points on the India stack. I'll just add to what he was saying. So we are essentially trying to build a BaaS platform for, like I mentioned, all the government departments of Tamil Nadu. When we started to build a blockchain practice for the state, we realized that there was a very interesting turn that was happening in government implementations of blockchain around the world, right? So they all realized that instead of looking at specific applications, maybe what we should do is we should build general protocols or general frameworks that could then be applied to a number of e-governance implementations. So good examples of projects like this is, there's a project called EBSI, which is being led by the European Union. Then if you look at Singapore, Singapore started with a project called Open Search that focused on academic certificates. Now it's called Open Attestation, and it's much more broader. It looks at land documents, etc., etc. So we took inspiration from that, and also from Professor Shukla's National Blockchain Project, and other strategic sort of inputs from Niti Aayog, MeitY, and we said that this is an interesting approach. And instead of just picking one application and one problem and trying to solve it, let us first set a protocol in place with, let's say, plug and play modules that can then be used to build various e-governance applications. So if you look at certificate securing and verification use cases, the technology itself is largely agnostic whether what you have is a academic certificate or if it's a demographic certificate, etc., right? So a large section of the solution that you implement can probably be modularized and used again and again. And underlying this could be a blockchain platform that's run and operated by the government. So that's what largely what we are working on, and we are about to go live shortly. And we are also working on land registration use cases, and we are building a SSI solution for the citizens where we are securing around 50 demographic certificates and 10 academic certificates, which we will launch with. We are also building with India Stack because, as Professor Shukla mentioned, that the APIs are readily available, you can integrate to them, and that's a good source to start with. However, one more point I'll bring in, and this typically we understood that when we were trying to build our platform and create a policy framework, we had a very extensive stakeholder discussion when we were drafting this policy, and one of the things that kept coming up is that your India stack is so great, but when I want to build on blockchain or when I want to build a consortium for my solution, for my blockchain network, I don't have anything to rely on. So if I really want to build a secure, decentralized solution, I have to go back to public blockchains like Bitcoin and Ethereum, etc., right? So why does the government offer us a solution like that? So we tried to take a shot at it, and we tried to make a solution that could also be used by startups and the private sector. So this e-governance framework and platform that I was talking about, we are also planning on putting a API sandbox on it. So any startups or private sector that want, they can come and use these plug and play modules. And we might also give access to some of the data with access controls. The benefit of that is, let's say, tomorrow you are a startup building a Web3 scholarship disbursement solution, right? Typically you would first have to build a consortium. So you would have to go to college A, college B, university C, then fund A, fund B, scholarship fund C. Instead of that, maybe if they were integrated with our platform, we could probably give you a pipeline to connect to these sources of data instead of you individually going and onboarding them, right? So we could solve that problem for you. So from an India Stack perspective, very ideally speaking, maybe something like this could be part of the India Stack going forward, where similar to UPI, similar to DigiLocker, you also have a platform like this available for people to build on and, you know, build innovative solutions on. Thank you.
You mentioned modules, so many projects. You all cover a lot, pretty much every single government department project as of now, looking into blockchain. And this is also written in the National Blockchain Strategy that Government of India has come up with about having literally every department of government to be using the blockchain, the India blockchain solution. And MeitY would be looking into this. So do you have anything to say with regards to that? Professor Shukla, probably.
Yeah, so MeitY has a blockchain center of excellence now, and they have been talking about creating a set of nodes across the country, which can host, the blockchain nodes. I guess it will be done through NICs, various NIC installations at various cities. However, that is kind of, my understanding is that that project is kind of like in a conceptual level than actually doing it as at the moment. MeitY also has funded a large project to CDAC, called the National Blockchain Framework. And in that National Blockchain Framework, my understanding is limited, but I understand that they are trying to curate various blockchain solutions in the country. I would have thought that they would actually develop a blockchain that has nodes across India, so that people can plug in their applications there and stuff. But last meeting I had with them, it seemed like they were more on the more curation oriented, like curation of various projects. They also are going to collect a lot of tools and technologies. So it more has become more of a repository kind of project than they building something. But it may change. It's probably started a year ago or so it might actually change depending on various factors. So yeah, so I think that the blockchain in the government has level from blessings from the very high levels at the various ministries as well. At least that's my experience. But when it comes to doing it, very few are actually people like Mr. Srivastava here, who has been actually taking the initiative. A lot of the places that's not happening at the level at which you would expect from the instruction from the top level. That needs to change quite a bit. But as I said, that the attitude often is, if it ain't broke, then why fix it? So a lot of departments are thinking we have a centralized digital system for why. Like for example, digitalization. A lot of people interpreted that as scanning all the documents and keep PDF of them, right? So I know offices that went on overdrive to scan everything that there is.
Just kept a
right?
PDF.
Kept a PDF of that. That was digitization. So there are a lot of interpretation gap in the lower layer of the hierarchy. So I think that things are moving in the right direction. Maybe to our taste, it should have been much faster. But realities are different from expectations. So, but I think it is in the positive direction. And as Mr. Srivastava said, that he has been doing this for Uttarakhand. There are officers like that. The person who helped us in Karnataka, he retired, unfortunately, but he was instrumental to doing Kaveri blockchain and the procurement projects and stuff like that. So it depends on the key person who is there, and that should not be the case. The case should be that irrespective of who is there, the bureaucracy machines should run smoothly, but it doesn't work like that. So some people are more.
So I'd like to add a point over here. I mean, what Prof. Shukla says absolutely, makes sense. In government, some more personal driven, because government is not there to make business or earn profit, so nothing drives them to take it. But the one thing which drives the government is the perception of people or the facilities citizens are going to get. That's their driving factor. So I will just give an example. If people decides, if your some model demonstrate that this blockchain is beneficial, it's helping people, it's solving their problem. For example, I headed a few number of projects. For example, FASTag, if I say, when I started FASTag a few years back, people were saying FASTag, toll plaza, is, say lesser said is better. It used to be a lot of crowd and lack of transparency in collection of money, all those things were there. But the beneficiary of the FASTag were the citizens who were crossing it. So when I, up to certain extent, I pushed it, and then I left it to the people to fight for this. And you won't believe, the people's pressure was so high that all these things were brushed aside, and it became one of the successful program. Same way you see the UPI and other things. So when you demonstrate the value of it to the citizens, for example, this data lake which I am developing in Uttarakhand, and blockchain applications 2 or 3 which are there, one in land, another I am doing a smart contract. These things once come up and people start visualizing the impact of it. After a year, do you think any government has courage to say, no, I am going back? No, it will move forward only. So that threshold, That critical mass has to be taken and it has to be taken forward. So if that is done, and that's what I encourage you guys to do some pilots, demonstrate its value to a smaller section only, which can be scaled subsequently. That's the key to take it forward in a typical government scenario.
So I'll just add to what Mr. Srivastava is saying. So we have also had a similar experience. What we have had a lot of successes with identifying departments or agencies who have not had digitization. So you make them leap a generation and come to blockchain, and you are also able to demonstrate the benefit at the same time, because obviously in terms of blockchain, the benefit is not immediately understood. It takes some time to understand, right? So we have had a lot of success with like technical polytechnics, medical polytechnics, and bringing them to blockchain because they didn't have a digitized process yet. And we are able to go back and tell them that you were, for example, you had a genuineness verification process that took 15 days and 5,000 rupees. So you can do it in 30 seconds and maybe you can reduce your fees as well. So these are inherent, these are very inherent benefits that people can identify very easily. And that makes a good gateway to implement
Exactly. Another case which I was discussing yesterday was the road safety 2.0, which I am heading from World Economic Forum. Here I am planning to develop a blockchain platform connecting all the silos, different data sets, and suppose it becomes success and the people, commuters start getting benefit out of it. After a year, it will be, it can never be rolled back. It's going to go upward only, where the drivers are, anybody can see who is the driver, what is their score. Their claims are settled just by click of button within few, in a day or two, few hours only, instead of which right now they are, it takes few months to them, mostly not settled. Police, for example, in this platform, I had already bought police. Now in 2 states, police is reporting the accident on that app. They go to the site, they don't use manual, they put all these things into app and upload. It goes into rest into a database we call IRAD. And now that can be again plugged to blockchain. So there are plenty of use.
That is what is going to bring blockchain into the masses. When the natural demand comes in after the pilot project, people themselves start demanding it, as you said. And we can totally see that happening. If you make the data lake happen, and people got the access to so many APIs, good APIs of so structured data that you can just access with licensed methods, open innovation for people to increase the efficiency. And also what Shuklaji you mentioned about the national blockchain framework, it's interesting to see that it's curating the blockchain technologies. So actually there could be a hope of public blockchain technology to also be curated as a scalable blockchain solution. Tools that can be recommended as a tool set you mentioned, right? They're using tools.
There you have to keep in mind one thing, and people often make this mistake that there's either a public blockchain or a private blockchain. I don't think that's the distinction here. The public blockchain is what you know as Bitcoin, Ethereum, BSV, all of them. Private blockchain is what people, for whatever reasons, implement, but entirely within their own control. But there exists what is essentially open to read for all and open to append with the right signature, but not mined by everyone, or not, in some sense, the nodes aren't public. Now that version...
The nodes are distributed.
Correct. The nodes are finite and nodes are, say, with only the government departments or the banks or whosoever it is. But anybody can read it. And anybody can send a signed transaction to those nodes, and if it's a valid sign, signature, then just like Bitcoin or BSV, it will get accepted and the node will process it.
You mean the hashtag should be public?
The public key is public, and the private key associated with that public key, if it's signed the transaction saying, I want to transfer my tokens to you or my land to you or my car to you, that transaction should go through even if the node is sitting inside the Department of Transport. So the node doesn't need to be run by a private individual anonymously or anything. The node can be controlled.
Yeah. Actually, this is also totally fitting with the Bitcoin SV framework, at least, where actually proof of work is a de-anonymizing function. It should not be anonymous, and they should be licensed entities. So imagine if you have licenses for miners, so you got that. Licenses for mining and stuff. You have controlled agencies who are regulated, who are professional firms, who are miners, and you get all the benefits of the public database or public format of the blockchain, where hashes are published publicly for the data integrity part. And you can even control all the data. What you want to be private is private, what is controlled, the keys are revoked, everything managed, whatever access, who needs access to what is managed, and you get the scale, which is needed really for blockchain. Akhilesh, do you have to say something on the scale needed for blockchain?
Exactly.
Really?
I mean, I just wanted to see. I find, I mean, a lot of experts there. I was listening right in the morning. So, I mean, the current concept, the blockchain which has been made, which was made, there was some heavy resistance toward the cryptos and all. Now we are moving towards the actual use of blockchain, which is more business oriented. I fully agree that's a requirement, it should be. But can we create something which is for the government use, where the business is a secondary, the public service is the primary? So, see, it should be, privacy should also be there. I'm just thinking, it's a wishful thinking.
Maybe a car passport.
There is.
Something.
You can have, right now, internet is completely anarchy. The government gets banned from the Twitter, the politicians get banned from Twitter. It's all anarchy. So with blockchain, when you have content distribution networks on the blockchain, you don't have a single monopoly of a distribution network like Twitter or Facebook or Google. Now you have a real game in which government actually likes this, and they can also regulate and do everything they want on the blockchain.
In the previous panel, somebody talked about a car passport. I think that might be exactly along the lines of what you're talking about, which is for
So
public
that
service.
needs to be in a better way, in a more sophisticated, in a scalable manner. If it can be done slightly away from what is happening, thinking in a different customer set. The citizens and the user is the government. Because government will never lose its control. As for any source in government, this is we are talking about the government. They will always like to see who is transacting money to whom. You just leave, it's a P2P, but still the government will always like to peep into and see something wrong is not. Instead of doing postmortem and traceability subsequently, that you can always find out how money was transferred by X to Y and Y to and where it was. You can trace it. Of course, there are time stamp and everything. But that's the postmortem. The thing is, the ball has, the cat has already left out and it has done the damage which was designed. But before that, can government do something when it is being done? Like a UPI. Somebody was asking me, UPI, UPI is already transferring money. Instantly, you are transferring from, it's a peer-to-peer only, using the bank as an interface. You're transferring, so what? But at least here, NPCI has a, they can sort it out. If something extraordinary or a lot of transactions are taking place suddenly or something is wrong, they have a say. They can stop it.
Precognition that some things might be wrong.
That's what I mean. This is what the government require will be all the time. Whenever you so think some solution where this can be taken care.
Right.
That's what.
I'll just add to the point on using permission networks for this thing. So obviously there are pros and cons, but one of the things that a lot of startups who are implementing blockchains for government or even people outside have tried is, so one of the things they do is they take the block at periodic intervals and they publish it to a public blockchain, right? So they're doing it at Maharashtra. Yeah. So they do it at a periodic interval. So in a way, you're sort of keeping the data in, but also giving away.
It's like notarizing.
That's correct, right? So similarly, there's something that Estonia has also done. I mean, again, that is also debatable, but they do something called a widely witnessed event. So where they take a block and they publish it on the newspaper, which they say that you cannot go back and change it, right? So there are again ways people are trying to do that. But you also have to understand that when we are implementing, a lot of times it is difficult to explain what we are trying to do as well, right? So because the question will come that since this is a government infrastructure, it is secure, right? So what are you implying at? Yeah. Trust is derived from the person running the platform. Yeah. So yeah, just to add to that.
So coming to an end to the panel, we are out of time. Thank you for a great discussion. And I will look forward to opening even the data economy that you mentioned. So so once you get more data opened up of the economy, right now, still we don't have the real data revolution happening. And Bitcoin does open up the incentives for people to put more data on to the interconnected web on the blockchain. And then government would have insights of data that it doesn't have yet, and have real-time regulation happening which is just not available because the data is not available. It's just
No,
not
so we are
digitized.
coming up with, Rohan, I'll just end with the positive note on that. You said, through Niti Aayog, I'm implementing a program on GSTN, where it's a logistic. Nowadays, it's mandatory to create a e-way bill when any transporter moves from, So this e-way bill data is now going to be made public, logistic. Any startup, they can have a look at this data, they can map from where to where it is going, what value they can add to the transporter, what value they can add to the people who are going to receive if it is delayed. I mean, it's going to be, very soon it will be opened up. It's a Niti Aayog, one of the premium. And then many more ecosystem related to logistics soon will be coming on the blockchain.
Very exciting stuff happening in India.